it out there in love, in grace, and truth as clear as I could, but it's up to the Holy Spirit to get to that person. So we work on salary. We put it out there. We love and serve. And we let the Lord do his thing. Now, he became all things to all men with the goal in mind of saving some. I see common ground in that. I see common ground and I see connection. Common ground. Turn to Acts 17. We're going to get an idea of how Paul was able to connect with different people from different backgrounds for the same goal in mind, to reach them with the gospel. The book of Acts, you remember, is basically the history of the early church. A better title of that book of the Bible would be the Acts of the Apostles. Actually, the Acts of the Holy Spirit through the apostles. So you got to see when Jesus basically ascended into heaven and gave this charge to the early church, go and share the gospel. You got to see this is basically a history book of what was going on. And as Paul was sent out in Acts 17, you see, let's pick it up actually in verse 16. Finds himself in Athens, and he ran into a pretty interesting group of people, I should say. Acts 17, verse 16. Now Paul waited for them at Athens. When he did, his spirit was provoked within him when he saw that the city was given over to idols. Paul's heart started beating. Man, I want to reach these people. Verse 17. Therefore, he reasoned in the synagogue with the Jews and with the Gentile worshipers, and in the marketplace daily with those who happened to be there. Pause right there. Isn't that interesting? Did you see that? I circled marketplace in my Bible. He was out there just praying for opportunities. And I would challenge you guys to do that. When you're out and about, just pray that God would open an opportunity to serve someone, to share with someone. You don't know. And he says, in the marketplace daily with those who happen to be there. Have you had one of those lately? We call them a God coincidence. It's not a coincidence you ran into someone. It's a God coincidence. And you pray and God opens this door, and next thing you know, you just run into someone. There was our Calvary Kids kind of overseer right now. There was a kid that came to church, Calvary Kids Church, this past week for the first or second time, I think. And this guy's a postman. Our CK, or our Calvary Kids leader, he's a postman. And this young kid comes, I don't know if he's 6 or 7. It just so happens when he's out on his route during that week, he's doing a route by a pool. Next thing you know, this little kid comes out. Hey, I know you. You're that Jesus guy at church, And sure enough, what is that, man? That's an opportunity for this person who's representing Christ in this young man's life who doesn't really get to church hardly at all. Now he's able to connect with him and hook up with him and love on him. Because this guy, Bill, was praying for opportunities, man. He's like, Lord, direct me to some people that I can love on and share with. Little dude just comes, hey, I just love that. So, have you had that? Are you engaging in that type of walk with Christ where you're asking God to provide those opportunities? Doesn't matter who it is, whoever happens to be there. Verse 18, then certain Epicurean and Stoic philosophers encountered him. And some said, what does this babbler want to say? Others said, well, he seems to be a proclaimer of foreign gods because he preached to them Jesus and the resurrection. You see that? Jesus and the resurrection. And they took him and brought him to the Areopagus, saying, may we know what this new doctrine is of what you speak? For you're bringing something strange to our ears. Therefore, we want to know what these things mean. For all the Athenians and foreigners who were there spent their time in nothing else but either to tell or to hear some new thing. Pause right there. What was he doing? Basically, it's a college campus today. He runs into a college campus today, and you remember in your college campus, everybody was a philosopher. I'm a deep thinker now. I've come to college. I've come to find out what my parents taught me about Jesus. That is, I don't know about all that. My professors are telling me they found the answer. They know the key to life. And everybody's got this kind of, my worldview is this, and I believe this. And there's just this, I'm a philosopher now. And so Paul runs up into the set, and these guys are like, we've never heard this thing about Jesus. We want to know more. And some of these guys, this guy's a babbler. But anyway, they bring him to Mars Hill. Basically, was this kind of this setting where all these guys would come together. And they just get up, well, I think this. We basically, there's a big explosion, and everything just started to happen, and you were actually a monkey a long time ago. In fact, there was an amoeba that washed up on shore, and then it became a fish, and then it was a monkey, and now it's you. Hey, is that right? Okay, well then Paul gets up. Let me tell you really what happened. Let me share with you guys really what happened. And let's see what he says back here. Verse 22 of Acts 17. Paul stood up in the midst of Marsil, their Areopagus, and he said, "Men of Athens, I perceive that in all things you're very religious. For as I was passing through and considering the objects of your worship, I even found an altar with this inscription, to the unknown God. Therefore, the one whom you worship without knowing, him I proclaim to you." Pause right there real quick. You know what I like about Paul? Paul engaged them and basically gave them a compliment and kind of connected, drew them in real quick. Now, he didn't come in and go, "You guys are straight idiots. What in the world are you thinking? There's all these little idols of wood and stone and clay and all these little things. I mean, there's a million of them. What are you thinking?" These guys, he didn't do that. He didn't belittle them like a lot of Christians will do. Holier than thou, I can't believe what are you thinking? Kind of like what I just did about evolution. I apologize for that. But so see, I'm rebuking myself as I'm teaching. I kind of like this here. But this holier than thou perception that they're given. And he says, no, I'm going to connect with you. I want to engage with you. I want to connect here. Verse 24, though, here's where he brings them. He says, "God, who made the world and everything in it, since he is the Lord of heaven and earth, does not dwell in temples made with hands," guys. He's not in these little things. "Nor is he worshipped with men's hands as though he needed anything, since he gives to all life, breath, and all things. And he has made from one blood every nation of men to dwell on the face of the earth, and has determined and their pre-appointed times and the boundaries of their dwellings, so that they should seek the Lord in the hope that they might grope for him and find him, though he's not far from each one of us. For in him we live and move and have our being," as also some of your own poets have said. I love that. Do you see that? Pause right there. He's connecting with these guys, man. He's building a bridge. He's building common ground. I think for us in ministry, we as Christians continue to have to keep that in mind. To build common ground, to build connection, we need to be bridge builders, not wall builders. And we need to have the flexibility to be able to approach different people different ways. I'll give you a perfect example. Now, if I'm going to go minister and share the gospel in a retirement home, okay, I'm not going to bring Toby Mac DVD in a jam session and be, and just jamming out. They're going to be like, "Take the hearing aid out. Oh, killing me here, No, we're going to bring some, I don't even know. What do you bring? Praise the Lord. You can bring some easy, chilled out type stuff, Now, on the reverse, if you're wanting to reach some high school kids or some young people, young family, or whatever the case is, hey, rock out some Toby Mac. You need to be able to connect with them where they're at. If you don't, you're going to lose that generation. So, crucial to be able. Now, having said that, the message is never compromised. Never. The gospel's never compromised. And the way that sometimes you do it is not compromised. I'll give you an example. I talked to a pastor friend of mine who's planting a church in the west coast of Florida. And he talks to this guy in Texas that was planting a church at the same time. And they're having a good conversation, getting different ideas. Hey, what's God doing through your ministry and how things are going? And this guy, they're having a great conversation. About 15 minutes into it, he's talking. He's like, "Yeah, man. And one of the things that we've really been stoked about is these block parties we're having. And you know what? We're bringing kegs and serving them beer and just having a great time." And my pastor buddy was like the phone dropped. He's like, "What? Hold on, man. We're not going to compromise. And we're not going to just say we're just going to kind of do everything as the world does. We're not going to compromise that, and we're not going to compromise the gospel. But we do want to be able to be effective in building bridges and connecting and building common ground with who we are connected with." I had the privilege of being raised in West Omaha here, in the suburbs of West Omaha. But throughout my career, in college.